You are listening to one of the most prolific podcasts. I'm Caleb.
It's your boy DT.
And I'm Ken.
We are the Mind Report. Here to push your mind and change your thoughts. What is going on? This is your boy DT.
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Ken.
And we are the Mind Report. I just want to start this episode off with gratitude like we always do, because we know every day that you wake up, your attitude should be gratitude. You should be thankful for everything that you have going on in life, whether it be good or bad. When you have gratitude, it opens the door for you to have more. But I'm going to start this thing off by asking you, Ken, what's going to be the thought of the day?
Thought of the day is working on yourself. Working on yourself is something so powerful. Being humble enough to even realize that the way you're moving and the things you're doing aren't working. Acknowledging that flaws do exist within you as a person and being open to working towards a solution instead of being a victim is a major thing itself. Some of us get stuck in our ways and condition ourselves into thinking that it's okay to be the victim and point the finger and always blame the other person. And I think it's so important for our listeners and everyone else in the world to understand that this isn't okay. Accountability is a motherfucker, to be brutally honest with you, but it's necessary when it comes to being a better version of yourself.
And I think I heard from one of the most profound speakers of our time. Y'all know I'm a big Les Brown fan. And he asked, how much time do you spend working on yourself? That is a major question that I think a lot of people need to ask themselves. And now most of us can answer with little to none because we so focused on everything that's going on around us except ourselves. One of the ways that you can basically work on yourself is the books you read. How many books have you read and how many audios have you listened to? What new skill or new knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in yourself this year? It all comes with working on yourself and your growth. You must be able to look at where you want to go and work on the person that you want to become.
What does working on yourself look like or mean to you?
Well, working on yourself, I'm real big in personal development. When you working on yourself, you have to be able to do something to develop yourself. It all starts with what you listening to.
Right.
What are you listening to on a day-to-day basis? Because repetition causes for you to grow and it becomes a part of you. Mm-hmm. Then secondly, what are you speaking?
Right.
Whenever you speak something, you have to be speaking something good versus negative. That's why I limit my time with a lot of people, because they speak a lot of more negative than they do positive.
Right.
And then third of all, how are you feeling? The feeling is the secret. You always have to have a proper feeling in order to have a proper vibration. Right. And once you vibrate on a certain level, then everything else just falls in line.
I mean, I think working on yourself looks just like what DT said, how you carry yourself in certain situations. It just basically just being in a better space with yourself, having more self-love, having more self-care, and just being aware of your own feelings and not putting other people's feelings first or priorities first. You know what I'm saying? Handling yours and then, okay, making enough room for other people's opinions or other people's times and stuff like that, because time is very valuable. But that's what it looked like to me. Honestly, just being at a good standpoint with yourself, within yourself, at full confidence, just so much energy. The feelings is a secret. So just feeling good, just feeling really great about the situation.
For me, working on myself is really just changing the flaws within me. It's managing my emotions, building myself to be the individual I want to become then, now, and appreciating everything that comes with it.
Has there ever been a time you've been talking with someone or dealing with somebody and they told you that maybe you need to work on yourself?
It's been a time when I fell into a situation where somebody told me that I need to work on myself. But in actuality, the person who is pointing the finger, they really need to be pointing the finger at themselves. Right. They say that the people you're around is like a mirror. So the same thing you don't like about somebody is the same thing you don't like about yourself. So right. For somebody to say that I need to work on myself, that means you need to be doing a little bit more work on yourself versus trying to point out something on me. Because the same thing that you don't like is the same thing that you don't like about yourself.
And that's what it's saying. People be like, we don't get along because we act too much alike.
Yeah.
That's where that shit come from.
For me, when I was like in elementary school, I ain't never get a green card. I always get a yellow card. She sat me down. She was like, Caleb, you know why you always get a yellow card? No. I just didn't think she liked me. But she was like, you're angry. You need to work on that. That's the time in my life when I had like someone who really told me I need to work on myself, and it really stuck with me. But what are some of the things that you put off to the side when you start working on yourself? I know for me, Some of the things that I'm going to put off to the side is just negative people. That's going to be like first and foremost, because that energy, I just don't want that around me. And then second of all, it's just distractions, like things that's not going to bring me any value or things that's going to make me be back in that same mindset that I'm trying to escape. But just dealing with certain people who are looking for validation in some negative shit. Those are some of the people that I cut out too. And I know that other people have different things that they do that they had to cut off in order to really work on themselves. So what are some things you guys cut off?
I would say for me, something I put out to the side or cut off when working on myself is pride. Being open and humble enough to see the issue within myself, address it, and make it better. So I would say pride for me.
I got a few things. I first want to say that I put my comfort zone to the side because if you stuck in your comfort zone, that's exactly where you're going to fail at. Right. Every single time. And working on you is not a comfortable procedure, but it's a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. But you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And another thing, I know when I used to work on myself, I used to run away from whatever adds pressure to me. So if it add pressure to me, I find myself running away from it. But then now, since I'm at the stage that I'm at, I apply more pressure on myself. Right. Because they say pressure makes diamonds. So you have to have some type of pressure on you to make you shine. That's what I do. I just apply more pressure on myself. So I just go out there and get about it because I know that I have extraordinary aspirations. Yeah. And, you know, we was talking about being extraordinary or ordinary. If you want to be ordinary, that's perfectly fine. That's totally up to you. Right. But if you want to be extraordinary, you're going to have to do some extra stuff. Right. So it's going to cause for you to have some extra pressure on you. And then another thing is I watch how I talk to myself. Right. Because you the only person who have full censorship over how you talk to yourself. Right. You the most important person to talk to you is you. Right. So I kind of watch what I say to myself because you can either build yourself up or you can tear yourself down. And things can be good or things can be bad. When you work on you and you're in a conversation, it would never override your development.
That is so true. You can definitely be your worst enemy. So you definitely got to watch what you tell yourself. When you decide that there is a time that you need to work on yourself, pride does have to be put to the side. And you definitely just have to become aware of what's hindering you from being where you want to be at. So you just got to be aware of that. Another thing too, on with working on yourself, is just you want to be around the right people as well. And that's the point with a lot of things that you do. You want to be people who's going to actually see the change in you and want better for you. Yeah, you just don't want wrong people around you too.
I like how you said pride and then right people. Whenever you basically working on yourself, you can't let pride get in the way. And you have to be able to act and be like, okay, yeah, I need to work on this, but why do I need to work on it, or what do I need to work on? Now that's the humility part of it, because now you being humble to the fact that somebody even noticed it. Right. But you have to be able to take advice and you got to be able to give advice. Now, when we were talking about the right people around you, you got to have the right people around you that's going to force you to work on yourself. Right. But you can be around somebody who got everything going on right, or they could just be at a higher level than you in life. You want those type of people around you because they're going to force you to work on yourself so you can level yourself up. Right. You don't want to be around people who on the same level of you. I ain't even going to say beneath you, but not on the level that you own. Right. So you got to have the right people around you and do not let pride get in the way of your own growth.
Please don't.
Now, I'm going to tell you something to add to what DT said. Whenever you surround yourself around people, period, you got to be aware, because even sometimes the people with more than you don't want the best for you, if that makes sense. You got to be careful with who it is, because they could act as if they want the best for you and then like only be limited on what they give you. The resource, they're not going to give you everything, because like you said, they don't want you to exceed them.
They can be jealous for the small things that they don't have.
Because sometimes it be the shit that money can't buy.
Right, exactly.
Like the amount of peace you have, how people vibe with you. Sometimes it be stuff like that. It's not always the materials, or sometimes it's just your mindset. And
right.
People could tell a lot about you before you even open your mouth. When you walk in the door, a person know just who you is. So sometimes the way you carry yourself may bother a person. And so when that bother, it may be a block there. They'll act a certain way, but due to that block, it's stuff that you not gonna get from them. You know what I'm saying? Like genuineness or resources or whatever the case may be.
And people thoughts of you do not have to become your reality.
Right.
Like you have to be able to be your own booster, because there's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna happen.
A lot.
In the process of you working on yourself, you're gonna be a lot of times where you don't even want to cheer for yourself.
Right.
But you have to cheer for yourself and start building yourself up, start encouraging yourself, and start saying, I can do this and I can make this happen. And when you work on you, then everything else will flow together no matter what come your way, because you know you done worked on yourself.
Right.
So you know you rooting for yourself no matter what goes on around you.
Right.
Just be there for your full growth as far as you working on yourself, and take it to the moon.
Yeah. And another thing that keeps me going is just working on my future self. Like I always like to think about my future self. I'm doing myself a favor right now. I'm trying to do all the hard work now. I always keep my future self in mind though. I make sure before I go in any situation, when it involves myself or when it involves anything being long term, I always think to myself, all right, am I doing my future self a favor? Is this going to make life more easier for me, or is it going to make life more harder for me? Because, you know, life is nothing but decisions. And so we got to think critically, make every calculated move precisely. That's what I always ask myself, like, okay, what am I doing for my future self here? I always keep that in mind, is just my future self. I just want to make sure I'm doing myself a favor, put myself in line to where I need to be. So when that time does come, it's all good.
Let me ask you this. Have y'all ever ran into a situation and the same thing happened over and over and over again? You were like, dang, why is this happening again?
I would say, yeah, I see it a lot in relationships that I have. Sometimes I run into the exact same bump. When I notice it, I kind of take a step back and I evaluate like, okay, this same shit happened 2 relationships ago and the last one you was in. It's something that you're doing wrong. It ain't the other person. Like you the common denominator and the issue is the common issue. So it's something that you got to do in order to improve that. I take a little break and work on it and try again.
Yeah, because you the common denominator between every decision you make or every challenge that come up in your life. You are the common denominator, and we repeat what we don't repair. Right. Always. If you run into the same problem over and over and over again, it's something that need to be repaired. Right. But 9 times out of 10, there's something that need to be repaired with you.
Right.
What have y'all noticed to be the greatest gain from working on yourself?
The greatest gain from it is just all the confidence. When it came to a time when I had to work on myself, it was just like, dang, I had to look back and evaluate with how I was moving, how I was thinking. And just after my process of me working on myself, I look back and I'm like, dang, like I came up from old me would have made this decision and this would have happened. Old me would have did that and that would happen. So it came to a point where I saw the progression in myself. I feel the change and I feel the aftermath, because this is what I would have done if this was an old me.
Right.
And then now I got this confidence going forward to know that my mindset is to the point where it has room for growth. I can grow and I've seen myself grow. So I think that's the greatest gift that comes from it, is you knowing that, okay, now I have room to grow. I accomplished this. I saw the growth in it. So if I can change and have that growth in that particular angle, I can do that in all aspects of my life, no matter what it is.
Right.
I say mindset because mindset is everything. And I said this a lot of times, and I touch on it a lot because it's very vital to your own growth in yourself and you working on yourself. Because when you work on yourself, it puts you on a whole different plateau of where your mind could be. Right. And it gets you through a whole bunch of things in life. Now, as far as like it being a game, you gaining a new perspective on something. You gaining a new way to maneuver against things that could possibly happen in your life. And perspective is the top of everything, because you can look at something one way and it could mean a totally different other thing. And once you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will start to change.
I would say for me personally, my greatest gain from working on myself, I would have to say is control. Learning to control my attitude, my emotions, my temper, learning to control myself and all. Controlling the way I respond to negative situations. And just like Caleb been saying, look at things from the new version or the established version of you. Like sometimes I stop and ask myself, like, how would the millionaire Ken or the billionaire Ken respond? If it's different from what I'm finna do, then I do just that, because I understand that in order for me to be that, I have to start acting that way now. And so when I get there, it won't be nothing new for me. It'll all be second nature. Right. So for me, I would say control.
I think I heard Warren Buffett say that the more you learn, the more you earn. If you look at any successful people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Oprah, Mark Cuban, any of those high successful people, they're successful because they use their time right. And I know that successful people are always lifetime learners, and they commit to learning new things every single day. For you to learn something new, you have to be able to work on yourself, because the majority of the things you do is not going to be right. You're going to make mistakes. But the thing is, can you learn from the mistakes of life that you just made, or are you just going to dwell on it? I'm telling you, everything, it all revolves around working on yourself. That is all that matters. If you don't know your purpose, work on yourself. I guarantee you'll find it. Eventually your purpose will be revealed. As you grow, you will figure it out. You will always figure it out. As you take action and try new things, you will figure it out. I'm telling you, it's not life or death for you to figure out your grand purpose. It's about you constantly growing yourself and you developing yourself. And you do that through reading, listening to personal self-development materials every single day. You have to do this just like you brush your teeth. But I'm telling you, you have to get off social media. You have to. I ain't saying just get rid of it, but you have to get off social media for a small period of the day in order for you to grow yourself, grow your skills, grow your mindset. And then if everyone doubts you, guess what? Work on yourself. Once you grow as a person, once you develop your mindset, you will understand that other person's opinion of you does not become your reality. It doesn't even count. Like, silence them with your results. You can't focus or you can't procrastinate when you working on yourself, because now you putting all your effort into growing yourself. And once you develop yourself, once you take action, once you try new things, and you'll figure out what really matters to you, what you really do, what's really important to you. It all plays a part in you growing yourself. And that's the reasons why you must do it. It won't be a problem for you to be focusing all your efforts on you, and then you just taking massive action into getting yourself to the next level or becoming a better version of yourself. This is a lifestyle. It's not a gimmick. It's not a quick fix. It ain't no magic wand. The process, I can tell you for sure, it is not sexy at all. It's tough.
Did working on yourself come easy, or was it difficult?
Me personally, working on myself was very difficult, just because everything that I thought that I was doing, I thought it was correct. I really had to do some more digging to figure out, okay, what's actually wrong? Why am I not? It came more easier along the process. As long as I kept working on it and trying to become more curious and trying to figure out the solution to the problem, then it became an easy transition. But at first it was very hard because I had too much pride too at the time. I wasn't taking things, I wasn't being accountable. So that's what made it more difficult. But over time, as I started to become more persistent at it and actually wanted different results, I started to open up more with myself. And I started to have less pride, started to have more accountability, and started to be more aware of the things that I needed to change. At first, it was hard, but at the end, it became more easy.
With me, it was kind of hard at first, but anything worth doing is going to be hard at first anyway. It's something that you know that you need to do, but I say that it was hard, but if you want a great life, you got to actually pursue a great life. In order for you to have a great life, you got to become a better individual. Right. Now, the thing is, now we saying this, and I want you to ask yourself this: do you want to become the better version of you? If you want better, guess what? It's going to be hard. Right. It's going to be hard. Now, the thing is, are you just saying this by you just being a talker, or are you willing to commit to your growth every single day? It's a commitment that you have to make, and you have to be obsessed with the process of growing yourself. Yeah, you're going to have some days where you up. Yeah, you're going to have some days where you down. But long as you know the end goal, then everything else will fall into place. And the only thing you need to be committed to right now is committing to becoming the best version of yourself that you possibly can. Right. So yeah, the process is not going to be easy. Yes, it's going to be hard, but the thing is, you have to be able to get through it, because if you can get through it, you can grow through it.
That's right. I would say yes, but then again, no. It came easier once I started getting older and maturing. For me, it wasn't so much of being a victim. It was more so always wanting to be right. And it wasn't any other way. Like, I'm right, you wrong, so do it my way because it's the right way. But I noticed, like, when you like that, when you want to be right all the time, you know you be wrong, But your desire to be right is so strong that you condition yourself into thinking that even when you wrong, you still right.
Yeah.
And you start justifying the wrong shit to make it seem right to you. And then that comes with you looking for people to start trauma bonding with. Y'all done heard me talk about that. But you start looking for people to trauma bond with, or looking for a person who is just as fucked up in the brain as you is to tell you that the fucked up way was the right way to handle something. But accepting the fact that I won't always be right and it's okay to be wrong made working on myself better. Being open-minded and being humble enough to take the lesson, apply, and move on.
If you want it, you have to work on it every single day. Like, working on yourself is a continuous process. You have to work on it for yourself, by yourself, for your future self. It's all up to you.
It's all up to self.
And do not compare yourself to others. Only compare yourself to who you was yesterday.
And I think that's what a lot of people go wrong at. I feel like sometimes that's what I used to go wrong at, was comparing myself. When you compare yourself, you kind of damn near messing yourself up, because it's like you start second guessing what you once had a clear vision for.
Right.
Because you feel like you got to catch up, you got to keep up. Instead of you continuing on your path, you trying to find another way to hurry up and get to the next level. The person, the level of the person that you comparing yourself to is on. But life is like a marathon. Everybody had their own journey. Everybody had their own time. We done said before, you are what you attract, and you attract what you are. Like, you attract the energy that you put out. That's why it's important that you be happy for other people, because when you're happy for other people, you attract people being happy for you. And even if you're not in a position where people express their happiness to you, being that you putting that energy out, you're gonna attract it. And if it's nothing there to be happy for, like, shit to be happy for is gonna eventually start coming to you. You start receiving blessings out of nowhere, and then that's when the energy that you initially started putting out is being attracted to you.
Right.
I think a lot of people gotta understand that.
It's exactly how you just said that about the part where you thinking like people ahead of you.
Right.
It's not the simple fact that people ahead of you. It's just you exactly where you need to be.
Right.
There's no you not behind. It's not too late. You exactly where you're supposed to be. Don't judge yourself or be hard on yourself about how long something is going to happen for you, because your time is your time.
Right.
I can't rush time. Or what's for me is for me, but it's in an appointed time. I'm looking at them, but I'm knowing that my time coming up. So in order for you to have more, you have to be able to celebrate others.
Right.
So I like how you broke that down, but just know that your time coming. Be thankful that you made it this far, and look to where you're gonna be going.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. All timings and stuff is God's timing. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Right. I honestly don't compare myself to nobody, because you never know what goes on behind the scenes. You got some people who actually be behind the scenes putting in work, and you got some motherfuckers that be behind the scenes not doing nothing, just fixing stuff up to make it seem like it is what it is. They'll get a regular shirt and screen print a Nike symbol on a fake Louis Vuitton and like come out from behind the curtains and it make you think it's the real thing. What I'm trying to say is, like, sometimes people put on the facade. And so a lot of times y'all be comparing yourselves to people who really ain't there.
I think they be comparing themselves to a filter, because if you look at what's going on, you don't see the original.
Right.
You only see the filtered out version of what people want to give you.
Right.
And by the world of social media, we get so hung up on the filter, but what actually happened behind scenes.
Right.
We never get to see the original. But the only thing that you need to be original to you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about you getting caught up in the filter of what you do see. Only thing you can be authentic with is yourself.
Right.
I feel like when you're authentically yourself, it's a lot of shit that don't fly. It's a lot of bullshit that you won't even attract to you. I feel like that really comes with learning self and being content with the person you are. I was telling my nephew that one time, like, bro, I feel like when you got to try to be cool, you already lame.
Yeah.
It's either you got it or you don't. And 9 times out of 10, you the coolest version of you when you're yourself. And that's just what it is. I just feel like when you try, you already trying too hard. When you put yourself in competition with people, you already done lost. And that's just the reality of it. Everybody got to learn how to be themselves authentically, move at your pace, in your direction, stay in your lane. Don't swerve in nobody else's. Don't worry about nobody else swerving in somebody else's. Do you, be you authentically, and let that be that.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our own cards that we dealt with, that we all got to play our part. It may be something that they lack on the inside that you have that they don't have. you can only establish that confidence within yourself. I don't ever try and compare myself to someone. I'm not quick to hate, because if it's possible for you, then it's damn sure possible for me. That would inspire me, but never hate, because I would want that for me if I was in that position. So you never know what someone's lacking on the inside. So I don't ever compare myself. I just compare the situation. How can I get in the same situation as him? What can I do to elevate myself? When do you think is the right time for you to start working on yourself?
I know I need to work on myself when I constantly do the same thing and it gets the same negative result. When I notice that I'm doing the same thing over and over again and I get the same negative results, that's when I need to self-reflect and work on myself.
When I know that I need to work on myself is when I feel like I'm stuck or I'm stagnant at some point in life. If you had that feeling, then it have to be something wrong or something that could possibly be hindering you from your growth or getting to the next level of life that you need to be getting into. So now you need to sit back and self-reflect on what you've been doing and how you've been doing it. If you self-reflect, then you will find the answer of why you really need to start working on yourself. So I know there's one mode that I know, or one symptom that I know that I need to be working on myself.
I agree with both of you guys. Like when I find myself in a negative circle and negative space and I keep running into it over and over and again, okay, this is something that I'm not doing right. I got to tackle this and I got to look at this from a different angle, because the way I'm currently playing this card, it's not right. That's when I know I need to work on myself. When I'm just in a space where I'm just trying to get out and I'm still like, it's still negativity that's being around, then I got to do something different.
I want everybody that's listening to this right now, look at where your life is at this point. Whatever you have done up to this point, your life is working. Whatever you have produced, it came out as a result of the kind of person that you have become and a result of your choices. You are the common denominator between every choice and every result that you have in life. So you have to become more conscious of the things that you do and how you do it and the things you say. Now, I want you to ask yourself, are you satisfied with what you produce? Are you letting yourself off the hook like that? You need to work on yourself in order to prepare yourself.
Hopefully we added some type of value to your mind so that you can check your thoughts. Follow us on Instagram at The Mind Report. Also, you can stream us however you want at www.themindreportpodcast.com. I'm your host, Caleb.
I'm Ken.
I'm DT. We are The Mind Report, and we are out.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, make sure you share it with someone else.
And be on the lookout for new episodes. And make sure you subscribe now.
This is The Mind Report.
And we are out.